Dragon Age the Veilguard has faced a lot of backlash over the past couple of months because of the identity politics that are shoved into it, but while there are still plenty of people who are excited for it, now that content creators are getting their hands on it a couple of days early, they are describing it as a thin coat of paint and a borderline soft reboot. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, we do not need every single franchise to get a remake, a remaster, a reboot. It's just ridiculous at this point how often it's actually happening. And with the Veilguard, a lot of people were hoping that wasn't going to be the case, but it seems that we are getting exactly what we did not ask for. This That Park Place article says YouTuber Neon Knight, who claims to have played over 7 hours of the Veilguard, described the game as a thin coat of paint. Now, we have not seen like an abundance of content creators coming out saying they got a chance to play it early. It wouldn't be particularly shocking just because companies like Bioware, for example, need content creators to promote their games, and I'm sure on release day there are going to be a ton of maybe even your favorite YouTubers and live streamers who are going to be playing this, who are going to be sponsored, but while we cannot completely confirm this, it does seem pretty legitimate. In a recent upload to YouTube, Neon Knight said, "So with Dragon Age the Veilguard, there have been a lot of attempts, in my opinion, to convince the general public that this game is something it really isn't. To convince you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears, what you've been seeing in trailers and previews, and believe that the Dragon Age DNA in Veilguard, specifically its gameplay, is anything more than a very thin coat of paint. And of course, they're only going to show you what you want to see in teasers and trailers. They know they have to sell this game to new fans and nostalgic fans, people who have played other games in the Dragon Age series, people who love this franchise, and so they're trying to release preview material that's going to capture both audiences, but we can see through their BS, like with the character creation system, for example. We can see with the top surgery scar toggle and the way that the media highlighted it, they're more worried about identity politics, and maybe this game in totality will still be really good. I'm not sure. I personally haven't played it, but that's not something that was ever in the other titles. It's only something to appease the, modern audience, aka sensitive snowflakes on social media, and maybe some of the activists within the company and on the development team. And that's just not a good look, at least in my opinion. That doesn't scream Dragon Age to me and to a lot of other people, given all of the backlash. I do not want identity politics in my video games, and you simply could have put a similar looking scar in a scar option menu, not its own toggle where it's out of the way and highlighted. He continued, and as someone who has played the game for about 7 hours a few weeks ago, well, I guess my thesis statement here is that it isn't. A thin coat of paint is more or less exactly what Veilguard has to offer longtime fans, and serious, level-headed discussion about this game is completely hampered by what seems to be an almost universal refusal to just say that out loud. From there, he shared that the game will be compared to God of War 2018. He said the game's combat and exploration is full-blown, or at least 85% God of War 2018 warship. Now, I do really enjoy the combat in that game, don't get me wrong, but it's not what I expect when I'm loading up a game like Dragon Age the Veilguard. It's just not something that screams to me Dragon Age. And it seems to a lot of people now that they were more worried about following social trends, whether that is in video games or politics, instead of trying to understand the essence of what this franchise was, what made it special in the first place. Because keep in mind, Dragon Age has not been a smooth sailing franchise. It has faced quite a bit of controversy with some of its releases, but we really showed up initially to support this game. We initially said, wow, this trailer looks pretty good. Hopefully it comes out and it's awesome. And as time has gone on and we've gotten closer to release, we've seen more and more BS, and in my opinion, from what I've seen from the gameplay and teasers and trailers, it hasn't seemed like God of War 2018, which either means that this isn't fully true or they've hidden it very well, which wouldn't shock me because, again, they're primarily trying to capture the attention of nostalgic fans because they need that money and they're not going to show you kind of the whole truth or paint the whole picture for you because they probably understand this is going to be controversial, and just a lot of things with this game is controversial at this point. It says, though, this new Dragon Age is all about the action, building up a rage meter to release an ultimate, getting your perfect parries in, shield throws, talismans that activate special abilities. To me, yeah, this just does not sound like it's gonna sit well with fans. And he also noted the game will be compared to the Guardians of the Galaxy video game regarding its tone. This is the point of the video where some of you recoil in horror and maybe projectile vomit, but it's also the point where at least some of you are probably thinking, hey, those are two not bad at all games. You could do much worse in terms of comparisons. And yeah, if you're thinking that, I completely agree. However, he noted that these two games are not what Dragon Age fans are expecting, which I completely understand. And when it comes to Guardians of the Galaxy, I know that it was not as controversial as the games that came before it, like Marvel's Avengers, but on the flip side, it was not received amazingly, right? It wasn't a 10 out of 10 game. It's not like it was complete perfection. And when I hear Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm sure you all instantly got it too. It comes down to the humor. And while I love seeing humor in my titles, if they're constantly beating you over the head with humor in this game, it also is, yeah, just not going to be the experience people want. Having one or two companions that are really comedic and they've got that awesome comedic timing down and they are able to lighten the mood very easily is very nice. But if every character acts like that, it's just not the game that I personally would be looking forward to playing. And I am going to be streaming this at launch because this is, my job. I want to give you guys my complete opinions. I don't think it's fair to talk about a game and then not play it. But I have to say, my hype was initially very high and it has very quickly tanked. I am not as excited for this game as I once was, maybe. Part of that is because the teasers and trailers have seemed a bit choppy because they constantly are cutting up gameplay and only highlighting certain bits and pieces. If a company feels confident in their gameplay, they should show you a completely unedited portion, which they really haven't done. You also have some of the developers calling us absolutely ridiculous things and melting down, calling us effing tourists because we are upset about the identity politics shoved into this game. And yes, the identity politics has severely damaged the reputation of this game. Most normal individuals do not want to see top surgery scar toggles. If you truly wanted a super in-depth, cool character customization system, make a Black Desert Online one. Have it so you can put any default scar and then you can stretch it out, you can make it thinner, you can make it thicker, you can rotate it, you can put it wherever you want, and then if someone wants to make a top surgery scar, they can for their character. But you have this toggle on characters that you're not going to see, I'm sure, 98% of the time, and yet you're sitting here telling us that we're effing tourists. Dragon Age has never had a customization option like this, and this is just a social trend because these people are fucking activists who are desperate for validation in the mainstream industry. They are desperate for attention, and they think that this is going to gain them more sales, which is certainly not the case. So of course I will continue to keep my eye on Dragon Age the Veilguard, but right now it sounds very bad. They're calling it a borderline soft reboot, a thin coat of paint. Sounds extremely disappointing, and while I think that this game is going to sell to a certain extent because it is Dragon Age and it's got franchise recognition, I do not think it is going to be the mega hit that they expected. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.